I am Renee Anderson. I am your host of the They Come With Instructions podcast. I am the author of the book under the same name, They Come With Instructions, Biblical Principles for Raising Children. I am a mother, a motivator, a friend, but most of all, I'm excited about this opportunity to share with you, our listening audience. So let's dig right in. We will share biblical principles for real life matters, parenting, finances, relationships. But today's topic focuses on parenting. And who else to start the discussion with than my mother? My mother is in the house, Miss Ruby Robinson. She has been a career woman. She has definitely been served in the church faithfully all my life. That's all I know about her. She has dealt with her various life challenges as well, and is still standing, resilient, smiling, shining, encouraging others. And so I am honored to have this conversation with you and to get it on record. And, welcome to the Day Come With Instructions podcast. Mama, how you feeling?
Thank you. Renee, my nickname Baby Sis. I've called her Baby Sis. I'm excited to be with you. I just can't believe, you all grown up and a mom, giving me 4 beautiful grandsons, and I'm just so godly proud of you, what you've done and what you're yet doing, and what a mother that you are. And God has just blessed you, all kinds of ways. And I'm just proud of you. I'm glad to be here with you.
Thank you. I'm proud of you too. Proud to be your daughter. Let's talk. We have some time, and I want to get to know you. I want others to get to know you and hear your story. Let's start with just kind of your upbringing. Tell us about kind of who you are and your immediate family, your siblings, and things like that.
Okay. First of all, I am number 17 out of 18 children.
What you say?
You have the same parents, same mom and dad. I grew up in the back south, east Virginia, and we grew up with a lot of, just a lot of children, a lot of family around, and so been used to a lot of people around me, and we didn't, as long as I can remember, we always had our own farm, and we always had our own car, and so we were pretty well off, but families then, we ate together. We all came to the table and ate at the same time. And we used to have a saying, if, with so many of us, if you stumble up and fall, just stay there, don't get up. But anyway, we had a lot of fun. We slept together, we ate together, and we didn't have a lot of money to buy toys and a lot of things. So we made our own fun. As children, we was in the river a lot. We were near, water where we could go into the water and just all over the farm. There were big farm just going around, seeing everything on the farm, and it's amazing what you see when you're raised on a farm, And we were close. My siblings and I were close. We laughed and talked. We fought. We just had a good time, And our parents, my father was a Baptist minister, and he sang. He could sing, so my family was known as singers, Haley singers. We came in like groups, like four. My parents had 18, but they only raised 14. But they raised a lot of their grandchildren too. So most of us was singing. We were singing, and we were known for that. Daddy,
Nice.
was like that. Yeah.
So what brought you to California? How did you end up here?
Well, I was in New York, and just doing a lot of nothing. I had left when I left home. After I finished high school, I went to Pennsylvania with my sister and stayed there a little while. Then I went to New York and visited a while. And I lived in Brooklyn a while, in Bronx a while. And then one day I just decided to come to California, rode the train all the way to California.
Wow. And so California became home.
California became home, and that was in January of '62 when I came to California.
Wow. Wow.
I've been here ever since.
And then comes my daddy.
Oh,
You meet my
yes.
daddy. Tell us about that. How did you all meet?
Uh, on the job. We met on the job. I was working in the aerospace industry, and so was he. I started at Hughes Aircraft, and then I was at McDonnell Douglas, and that's where we met. It was so funny. I was working on night, and I liked night shift, but I was transferred to day shift, and I didn't like that. But then when I went on day shift, that's when I met.
Mm.
That's when I met your dad, and I tell you, he was the best thing that happened to me before I met Jesus. He was a great man. If he gave you his word, he was a man of his word. He was an honorable man. He was honest. He was just a hardworking man, and he was just a good husband, a good father.
Would you say he was the love of your life?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
without a question, he was the love of my life.
I want to put his name in the atmosphere.
All right.
R.L.
R.L. Robinson.
R.L.
R.L.
Robinson.
Robinson.
Yeah, he was
Mhm.
a great, great man. And so I am a self-proclaimed daddy's girl.
Yes, you are.
Would you agree with that?
I agree.
Would you affirm me in that? That
I totally
in
agree.
fact, I was and probably still am.
Yeah, you were, and yeah, and so was I, for that matter. My daddy's girl, but you certainly was your daddy's girl.
Yeah, so you could relate to that then.
Absolutely,
And
I was a daddy's girl.
did you feel any kind of way? Because sometimes you hear mothers and daughters are not in competition, but jealous or something of those relationships. Did you ever feel anything?
Not, no, because I knew what it was all about, because I had been my daddy's girl. And that was a little jealousy of the other sister. I had a sister, my baby sister. She used to say, Daddy, who do you love best? Me or Ruby? And Dad would say, I love one the best and one the goodest. But she knew, I think, he loved me. I think, and a lot of times you endear yourself. I was endearing myself, and that's what happened. And so I was a dear child to him, and,
Yeah, it's been 10 years. No, Daddy passed in 2014.
13.
13. Wow. Wow. Okay, so we're coming
February
up
the
on-
1st,
Yeah, it's been 12 years. It's a long time. How long were you all married?
48 years.
Wow. See, that's amazing, and I appreciate my upbringing, right? Because we grew up in a healthy environment.
Right.
It wasn't toxic. It wasn't dysfunction. But the good thing about it, there were both positives and negatives. And for me, the positive was, of course, that we were raised with no, I've never heard you all cuss and yell and disrespect each other. But then it wasn't always pixie dust and rainbows either. Like there was a
Nope.
very healthy balance
All right.
of a realistic relationship. And we don't see that a lot today. Social media really promotes these plastic, pretentious relationships where you got to do pranks and tricks and jokes and everything just has to be fun, and that's just not real life. So I do really appreciate that, and that the balanced childhood that we had, right? The teaching, the responsibilities, the support and encouragement. We were going on vacations and traveling.
Absolutely.
And even though we were raised in the hood, right, South Central Los Angeles, every other year we would travel across the
Absolutely.
country, and so I really appreciate that. So that was very positive for me and us. And then the negative side of that, if you will, for me has been that the world doesn't make men like my daddy anymore, right? So here I am with this desire, this image, this perspective of a man that I'm hoping for, and the world just doesn't make men like that. And I say the world because Daddy wasn't necessarily a church going man.
Right.
He was raised right in a good home with good values, but it wasn't necessarily his faith that made him a good man, right? And so the world, you don't see that today in just men. And even sometimes the men that go to the church aren't necessarily good quality upstanding men. So that's kind of been a negative experience for me, having that, but no fault of your own or to you all. It's just thank you for bringing us in a good home and a nurturing environment. One other thing I want to make sure that I say is that because my father was in my life, because I had my father who spoke life into me and told me he was proud of me and
Right.
never abused our relationship,
Mhm.
it has negatively impacted my tolerance for foolishness with men, right?
Right.
Because I don't have daddy issues, right? So many women are absentee their fathers or, lack the identity that a father can provide. And so I know that I'm fortunate and blessed to have had my father to validate me, to, support me and encourage me and just be a constant presence in my life. So I don't have daddy issues. I'm so thankful that he was in my life and loved you,
Right.
right, in a manner that was an example for me to know what it should look like. Not, yeah. So
But it, and like you said though, he had back values. He was, raised in church with church values, godly principles, and so that was in his life. And he just he was an honest man. He was honest, a man of integrity,
yeah,
and he was just a good husband. And
yeah,
I don't, and I hear people say it is a different generation. It is a different time. Everything is just totally different.
yeah.
You know.
It is. It
Hmm.
is. But we're thankful to still have you and then even the
Thank God.
legacy and the memory of my dad and all the good men that I'm fortunate to say were a part of my life, right? I have
Right.
several great examples of men.
Right.
Even when I was raising my kids and I found myself as a single parent, I would use the men in my life as examples, even when their father wasn't necessarily the example that he should have been or present as he should have been. I
Right.
had uncles, I had cousins, I have a
Right.
brother,
Mhm.
right, that I could use. And so, very
Mhm.
fortunate, very fortunate. That's one thing that you always would say. You do say, is that we're a blessed family.
We are
And so
absolutely.
what is the sentiment behind that? When you say that, like what are you thinking of? What attributes are you making reference to when you say we are a blessed family?
I think all of the things that you have just said, plus the fact that we're a loving family. There are a lot of sibling rivalries in a lot of families, and I think the three of you love each other. You don't always agree, and nobody does, but I think each one of you would be there for each other, and we respect each other, and we're blessed that we just most of us are healthy, and we have good lives, most of us, and none of us in prison, in jail, in the hospital,
Yeah.
and I think we just love one another. We're there for one another, and we're just a family that
Yeah.
yeah, we're
So
blessed.
we
We're
are blessed.
blessed.
We
We're
are
blessed,
blessed.
and we're not. We most of us, like I said, we have shelter, food, clothes, all of that stuff,
Right.
and so we're not hungry or wanting anything, and we love one another. That's the main thing. We're
Yeah.
there for each other.
Yeah. Yeah. So me and my siblings, right? You became a mother.
Mm-hmm.
Vicky, Victoria's the oldest. Reginald is the middle child,
Mm-hmm.
and then I am the baby, the youngest.
Mm-hmm.
So this is your opportunity, Mom. You get to go on record once and for all. Do you want to acknowledge that Reggie's your favorite child?
Lord,
This is it, Mom.
there's a story behind that.
This is it,
There's a
Mom.
story behind that. But back to the children, I had one. I had the mother of four. Remember? Yeah,
Right, we'll talk about
we'll
that.
talk
We'll
about
get to
that.
that.
Okay. All right. Yes. Uh, now, as close as we are as a family, it's something about girls, teenage girls. It's something about the girls. Look like we just was always at each other. And every now and then, when you're raising children, every now and then, look like kids just beg, Mama, please give us a whipping. We need a whipping. They just do things that just off the chain. And so after a while, you say, okay, You get them and you whip all of them. You give them all a good whipping.
Mhm.
And the girls run off and don't even look back. And Reggie would come in and I'd be cooking. He'd come up and behind me and said, Mama, I'm sorry we upset you, Mom. He said things like that. But he really never gave me any trouble. And I used to say that. He was 18 years old. We took him to college and he never that's not to say you don't love all your children. You love all of your children. Somebody say you're supposed to love them all the same. You're supposed to treat them all the same, but you don't. You love them all, but you don't treat them all the same because they're not the same. Each and every one, you're different, so we have to treat you the way you are. But the girls then, when I would say, Reggie didn't give me any trouble, they, yeah, that's your perfect son, Reggie. That's what they said, Vicky and Renee. That's your perfect son, Reggie. So that became like a joke. My perfect son, Reggie, but he's not. He's a good son. You're a good daughter, Vic, and you all have your own special place in my heart. But that's just a family joke. Reggie, your special son, your
Your
perfect son, Reggie.
Well, fortunately, he's your only son,
He is my
so
only
he
son.
can be your perfect son. We won't take that from him, for
Yeah,
sure. And as a mom, I agree 110% that you can't have favorites. You shouldn't have
right,
favorites.
right, right.
And I do believe that you love them equally, but you cannot treat
You
them equally
cannot.
because they are each
They're
their own
not.
person, and that's valid. And I agree with that 100%. So, in raising us, I felt like you took me to church more than anybody else. Reggie could be there laying on the floor watching TV. Vicky can be in a room on her phone, and you'd say, "Get dressed, Renee. We going to church." Do you recall that? Do you have that same recollection?
Was that after they had gotten grown or something and you were
No, this is
younger?
when I was
I would
like
just take you and
12
didn't
and
take them?
14 and young, and everybody was still home. I would be at the district meetings, jurisdictional stuff, and I mean, every time you left the door to go to church, I felt like you were Batman and I was Robin. I was your sidekick.
Maybe I was just taking you to special events because on Sunday morning, all of you went to church.
That's true.
But
Sunday
if it was
morning.
special events, and that was because I always saw in you something spiritual that wasn't in the others. I always saw that in you, Renee, from a child. Remember when Reggie, we were going to baptize Reggie one Sunday. He was going to get baptized. This needs to be told.
Tell it.
Tell it. Reggie was supposed to schedule to be baptized. Renee started crying. She wanted to be baptized too. She cried so that they had to baptize Renee the same day. She wanted to be baptized. That's how she
You
was.
should have baptized us together. Why was you baptized
You
one
know, I
and
don't
not the
know
other?
because I guess that's when he had said he wanted to be. If there was a reason that he was being baptized and you weren't, but for whatever reason that day you were baptized because
I
you
was
was
I was gonna be
he
baptized.
wasn't having it any other
You
way.
you wasn't gonna leave me. Give me Jesus. I'm gonna be
And
baptized.
another thing, you were the one that had the singing. You took the singing, so you would sing. You always sang as
I
a.
loved it. I do recall, and I point out the difference. But I am glad that I was brought to church on a regular basis. I might have begrudgingly, and might have been times that I didn't want to go, but once I got there, I always enjoyed it. Whether it was Bible study, pastoral teaching, like, and I know that those times in the house of God, being in church where no other kids were there sometimes, and I'm just sitting amongst the older saints, hearing the teachings and hearing those discussions, I know that that positively impacted my life, and it has instilled in me a love and a faithfulness to church and serving in the house of God that remains today. So
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. I do. I really
Yeah,
do appreciate it.
yeah, but like I said, get it straight. On Sunday morning, Sunday night,
Come on.
regular
Yes, ma'am.
services, all of you
Let
went.
the record
But
show.
special
On
times,
Sunday
special because
morning.
you were special and there was something about you. And look at you now. Look at you. Look what God is doing in your life. You know,
Amen. Amen.
yeah, that
Amen.
you had that in you. That was special in you. You really had.
I appreciate that. So people always call us twins. People always say we look just alike. How do you feel about that? Do you agree? Do you see me in you, or do you see you in me?
You know what I there are pictures of us that you look just like me, but just look at it, I don't see like other. I think we look alike, but not like people. They just say, "Oh gosh," they call us twins. But I guess we do. We are alike. We look alike, and there is a definitely. You're my child.
Can't deny me.
Can't deny that. You are
Can't
my
deny me.
child, my special child.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
but
So you, oh, go. I'm sorry.
no, you say, how do I feel about?
Yeah. Did you feel any kind of way about it? Or
I just say you're gonna know what you look like when you get 80 years old. You're gonna know what you look
and
like.
I
You
welcome
already
it.
know.
Yes, you are a beautiful elderly woman, and if
Yeah,
that's what I'm gonna look like, then here I come.
here you come, huh?
80.
Yeah, well, I
80.
just thank God.
So you made reference to earlier your fourth child. We didn't talk about it a lot growing up, and that was the. Um, it wasn't a miscarriage. It was a stillbirth.
Right.
We didn't talk about it much, and so you mentioned it. Are you okay with discussing that today?
Uh, yeah, we can discuss it.
So tell me about it. How did you deal with such a significant loss?
Um, First of all, it's not easy to carry a child, and then to have it, you know, arrive stillborn. But
Do you remember that day? Do you remember
oh
like
yeah, I remember. I remember when I was pregnant during that last. I remember that last 3 or 4 days. I didn't feel that life. You know how you feel the babies kicking around that last week. About 4 days before I didn't feel any life at all. I didn't feel any movement. I didn't feel anything, and I could, I knew. I felt like something was wrong. But yeah,
did you go to the doctor or call the doctor or make any
I did.
inquiry
I
about it?
did. I did. As a matter of fact, I was pregnant. The date that I thought I was gonna have the
Your due
child.
date?
Right, right. I I thought I was not as far along as I was, but and I made an appointment to see the doctor. But when I went, it was that was when I delivered. On the same day was when I delivered, and he had said, he was trying to get the feel and everything, and so when the child was born, he said, well, we couldn't feel any heartbeat or anything, so the child is. So um, it was.
I'm
She
sure you
looked like.
cried
Oh, of course,
and
she
you
looked like Vicky.
she looked and her name, you named her.
Sherry.
Her name was
Her name is
Sherry.
Sherry. Uh-huh. And I held her in my arms, and it was. I still think it's September the 9th. I still think of that. Still think of her. Yep, but I know she's with the Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember how did you um, deal with the grief? You know.
There were times I just cried, and I was really involved with church and God and all, and that helped. That really helps, knowing God and being able to pray and take things to Him. So He just helped me through the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
People today, post so much. So much is shared on social media. Such private experiences like what you're
Right,
describing.
right.
People post it and make it public. And, I know it was a different time. You didn't have that avenue, but I don't know if you have even seen. Have you seen anyone that has gone through it and kind of felt like it was an unhealthy balance or an unhealthy manner to deal with it, or any instructions maybe that you would like to share with someone who has experienced that?
I don't know of anyone that had a stillborn child, but it's just like losing a child. I I mean, full born. I mean, right there in your arms and looking right at the child and all that, and just looking at.
Was it a natural delivery? I'm sorry, or was it
Yeah, all of my children
Wow.
natural birth. All natural birth. She was 7 pounds. 7 pounds and looked like Vicky.
Wow.
Yeah. So RL was right there with that too. He was really such a blessing at that time, to
Yeah.
be with me and help me with all everything,
Yeah, he was
took
a
care of
good man,
everything.
a
He
good
really was.
husband,
He was.
a good father.
Hmm.
Yeah, a good father.
Hmm.
Anything you wish you could do differently as a mother?
Well, I do wish. Okay, when I was in church, I was working on a job, that they said, and I was thinking that wearing pants was wrong. I quit a job. I walked out on a job after I had been there 9 years, 9 years, because you had to wear pants. And I've it was told to me that it was wrong, and I felt like it was wrong to wear pants. And so then I didn't let you all wear little pants when you were growing up in school. I hate that. But the way I felt like if it was wrong for me, it was wrong for my children. So that's one thing I didn't let you all wear your little pants and little things, and so I regret doing that or not doing that. And I found out that that wasn't wrong. That was a conviction that I had, and it's not wrong. But anyway, but God blessed me because I felt like it was right, and I was willing to give up my job, and God really, really blessed me for that,
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that's one thing I would that I hadn't. I really
I
do.
remember those days. It'd be pouring down rain, and we walked to school, and people, puddles of rain, and
Jesus.
people be like, "Girl, why you got on that dress?" And freezing cold.
Well,
But
I'm sorry. I
it
apologize.
it wasn't. I wouldn't consider it trauma, but we survived. But I do remember
Yeah.
thinking that, and even as we grew up, the transition into becoming young women and being able to buy my own clothes, it was something that you really held on to, and and discouraged us from doing. But we are better because of it,
Yeah.
and no regrets, right? No
No, no.
regrets. So then you became Grammy. You went from motherhood to Grammy, and for a long time, it was just my boys. It was just my
Right.
boys.
Right. Right. Right.
Before
Right.
you had any other grandchildren, how does it feel to be a grandmother?
I thought being a mother was fantastic, and it is. It's really, really, really wonderful being a mother. But it really is something about those grands. It really is. And I guess it's because when you're raising your children, you're working and you're busy, you love them and all that. Um, Maybe you don't spend as much time with them or playing with them or whatever, but like you were saying, we used to go across country every other year, drive all the way across. We did a lot of things, but with you, I think that you're more settled and you've learned from raising your children. Because I used to tell you guys, I said, I'm new at this. I'm a new mother. You're a child, so I'm new at being a mother. So you have to work, and you learn. It's on the job, on the job. You learn as you go, But like you said, the principles. But then when those grandchildren come, oh, when that first grandchild came, it's overwhelming. It really is. It's overwhelming because, like I said, raising your children, you make a lot of mistakes, so you can learn from your mistakes
Hmm.
with your grandchildren, and you're not as busy. You're more settled, to enjoy your grandchildren, and you can just spoil them, and then you can make your grand entrance and your grand exit.
I love it. I love it. One thing that was a stable for us, especially with the first two, because I had two sets of kids.
Right,
So Duke and Jason came first.
right,
And one thing we knew like clockwork was that we were going to have Sunday dinner after church at Grammy's house.
right,
Just kind of like the scene from the movie.
right.
Yeah, soul food.
Hmm.
Um, talk to us about that being an expression of what, how, why was Sunday dinners so important to you? Why was that such a constant thing for us?
Because first of all, we're down spiritually. No, it's a good thing just to have the family together again. Again, that's when the family can come together, and the fellowship. Just enjoy one another, and then it's nothing like good food. Just sit around the table and laugh and talk and eat. And it's a pleasure for me. It was a blessing for me to see everybody enjoying the food. It's a blessing to see people enjoying, and the kids would just have a fit over the food, and that blessed me to see them and you all happy at the time. It's a blessing. And I look forward to it. I really did. Every Sunday, I look forward to it.
Yeah, for years I didn't have to cook. There were many
Right,
dishes and
right,
things I wouldn't even attempt to cook
right,
because you had it sewn and mastered, and if we needed it or wanted it, we
right,
could call Grammy
right.
to cook for us. That was really, really great. One thing I remember, and I don't know if you remember, is that I became a mother before I married their father.
Right.
And I remember that you did not make it easy for me.
Mhm.
You were not just a convenient babysitter. You were not a easy, you know. Do you remember that at all? Do you remember, you know,
Not
even
really.
no, okay, no pressure. That was my experience. Maybe something I've been holding on to. but but no, no problem there. I know it was a long time ago. And so what memories do you have of me as a young mother?
You know, to tell the real, I don't even remember you being home with Duke when you first. I don't remember that part too much. Not a lot. Um, I don't remember you being there a lot with Duke.
Yeah, I think,
Because you
well, I
were
brought him to
married.
your house from the hospital.
I
And
know,
then
yeah.
shortly thereafter,
Right,
got my own
right.
apartment and things
Right,
like
yeah.
that.
So
But,
you were on your own pretty quick after that.
and I think that was because it just wasn't like comfortable
Mm-hmm.
at home with me as a new mom and my new baby, and I felt like
Mm-hmm.
it was time for me to go. It was time for me to become, my own adult and stand on my own 2 feet, as Daddy would say that we needed to learn that. And so, no regret, but I definitely felt like I don't feel like anything has ever really come easy for me,
Mm-hmm.
and I've had to kind of always work hard or kind of really stand in my independence to kind of figure things out. And mothering was one of them. And you said something even about how it's kind of new, but I remember being a little girl and I would sit next to mothers who held babies, and I would just observe parents and conversations, and I would think, I'm not going to do that. Or, oh, that's so sweet. I want to do that. You know what I mean? Like, I remember observing mothers and children, and always thinking of like what I was going to do when I had my baby. And I remember a compliment you gave me, and it was with Duke and Jason when they were little, how I never yelled at them.
Mm-hmm.
I would not raise my voice at them. And, I was young, and young Mama Renee. And so, I was much more hands on. And then in my mid 30s, when the other two had come, Caleb and Micah, it was different. And like you say, you just kind of learn. And I kind of felt like I was a drill sergeant,
Mm-hmm.
with them boys, because I wanted
Right.
them to be, respectful, responsible, valiant men of God. So I've always kind of had in my mind what I would do as a parent, and the things that I wanted to do. Um, did you ever think in your wildest dreams that you'd be sitting across from me and me being considered a parent coach?
Never. I never really thought about it. Never thought about it. Never
Or
thought
that I would
about
even author a book? The book, They Come with Instructions,
it.
Biblical Principles for Raising Children. How did you feel about that accomplishment?
I never maybe thought of you doing it, but I'm not uh, surprised that you did it. I know that, like I say, you were just always smarter. You really were. And I can say that of the children. You were, as far as you were smarter in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways, you had a lot, that. So. that the others didn't like it. Each one of you were different, you know. But I'm not surprised. But I didn't. I know. I never. I just never thought that that would happen. I
Yeah.
never thought about it. But I'm very, like I say, I'm very proud that that you did.
Yeah.
And being a coach and having I never dreamed of that, sitting across from you and talking like this. But it's an honor, and it's to be able to just talk things out, to love one another, to be able to talk about things and talk about things that people can hear, whatever. Uh, but I'm just glad.
Yeah.
I'm happy about that.
And I appreciate that too, because not every day is perfect. We don't always agree.
No,
We have had some very heated conversations as
right,
as
right,
women, but I have always tried to honor you as my mother. I've
right.
never disrespected you, and I hope that you would agree with that, because whatever my opinions are, and
Hmm.
even if they differ,
Right,
I always respected the fact that you were my mother.
right.
And those conversations and those bonds are built because of those things. And I think sometimes our generation, we see it today and there's just no regard, no respect. And so it's so unfortunate, but I know that I'm blessed because of that.
Mm.
You told me not to marry my kid's father. You told me. Well, what you said was, and I remember it. You said, "Why would you want to marry a man who's telling you he don't want to work?" Oh. And I remember being so young and in love. He's a musician and he's going to travel the world and he's going to be great. And yeah.
Mm.
But you told me that I became a single mom, right? I became a single mom. We married. I married their father. We had three more kids. There were four boys, all with the same father, same daddy,
Mhm.
and then divorced. And the marriage was less than good. It really was less than good, you know. Um, but you never said, "I told you so." And thank you for that.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome.
So, how did it feel seeing your daughter go through some of the things that you witnessed in my marriage to their father?
Um, it hurt. It hurt. Um, However, he came from a background. He didn't have a background. He didn't have a father to raise him, and he didn't have like what you had. And so he might have, I don't know, he might have done the best that he could. I know one thing he did, I really stood out with me, how he stuck by you at a time when, you needed him to do, even after you all were divorced. Um, Somebody tried to use him against you, but then he wouldn't. So he had, but it hurt me to see you go through what you went through, you know. And no, why would I say I told you so? I was there to do what I could to help, with them. And I really admire your tenacity and how you went about it, and you just put your all into it. And I just really admire you. And like I said, there are times, even with my husband, as good a man as he was, and as good a marriage as we had, and all that, raising children, even with two parents, it's not easy. You'd hear people walking out, leaving the children and all that. And I said one time, I could understand how people felt.
Oh, yeah, me
I
too.
could understand how people feel just walking out. Now that's with a good husband, with everything going. So I can only imagine what you went through without that.
Mm-hmm.
But thank God, you lived close to us, and that was a blessing.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
He was not a horrible person.
No,
He was a horrible husband.
right.
And um, that divorce was one of the hardest things I ever think I went through. And mostly because of my faith, right? Because the saints told me that a sanctified wife sanctifies a husband, that if I prayed for him and I'm supposed to just endure this. And my faith was that God honors marriage, and I'm really praying that God is going to save my marriage. And then the facts were that he didn't want to be married. And the fight between the two.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember feeling like I was going to lose my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I really did, because I prayed and I really wanted this. And then I loved him. I mean, you don't marry a person and have 4 kids with them and all the times and all the troubles in between to try to stay and make it work.
Mm-hmm.
But to feel that level of rejection or abandonment. And I had never experienced that before, right? Because again, my daddy was there. It was the hardest thing I ever went through. But I thank God today that I still have my right mind,
Right.
right? And that I went through everything that I went through. And I talk about it in my book. And that's why I'm here today, right? Is to help women, single moms, single parents get to the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Because today they're all adults.
Right.
Thank God. And I don't have to do anything else. Everything that I do today is because of love, right? I have done and fulfilled my obligation to them as parents. And they are all respectful and they are all responsible. They are not perfect by any means. And we'll definitely share some stories about my upbringing and being outnumbered with all those boys. But I thank God for them because they are happy. For the most part, they are physically healthy. We know that Jason's kind of going through some things right now.
Right.
And they
Yeah.
are all handsome.
I was just going to say that. You didn't say that. That was the part I was going to. They are very handsome.
Handsome
You didn't
boys.
say that. I was just getting ready to butt in and say that. They are so handsome.
And
They are handsome young men.
they have my heart. They have my heart.
Mine too. Whoa, I love them.
Yeah. Were you gonna say something?
No, I just want to make sure that everybody know they're handsome.
Yeah.
And if they see them, they will know it.
You mentioned something, and we do have some time right now about you coming from a singing background.
Right.
And so I don't know. You mentioned a song or sang a little bit of a song the other day that I hadn't heard since I was like a child. You want to sing a little bit of it now? What was it?
I'd rather have Jesus.
Yeah.
If I were going to really sing a song, that would be my favorite to sing right now. But
Okay, well, we get to your favorite. We'll get there.
I'd rather have Jesus. And I guess I sang that song because I was teaching, and I was teaching about Solomon, how he had everything in life, everything that anybody in the world could ever want, and how he found out that it all was vanity without Christ, without God in your life. Nothing really matters that much. And so I thought about this. I hadn't heard it probably in I don't know how long. It's really old. I'd rather have Jesus than silver or gold. I'd rather be his than have riches untold. I'd rather have Jesus than houses or land. I'd rather be led by his nail-scarred hands than to be a king in a vast domain, than to be held in sin's dreadful sway. I'd rather have Jesus than anything this old world affords today.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah,
Good one.
there's a lot
Okay,
of
so
us.
now what's the favorite one that you would prefer to sing?
Oh, Jesus.
See, you said it like you had one in mind.
That would be my least problem of all that I know.
I thought you had one ready.
That would. Let's see. Let's see. What is the one about faith?
I have the faith.
That's a good one though too.
Well, we're not here to sing, so if you don't have one ready, we will move on. We will move on. But that was good. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay.
I appreciate. I'm grateful to God, right? Because He doesn't make a mistake. And there's one thing I always told my boys, that God gave you me, right? I didn't know what I was getting. And you didn't know what you were getting.
Right.
But God put us together.
Right.
And so I'm thankful to God that He put you and I together, right? There could have been another mother centuries ago in a different country, and but I would not be who I am.
Right.
And I am proud of who I am. And that is because I am proud of who you are.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Sincerely.
So true.
Yeah.
So true.
You were a great model, right? And for being a housewife and a mother, and you were great. And I know how fortunate I am to have you in my life. I'm thankful. Do you mind if I tell your age? You're 83 years old.
83. Amen.
And it's a blessing to still have you in my life here doing things like this with me, new things.
Yeah.
So thank you. Any final thoughts or final words, instructions from you that you want to offer to me or just to our listening audience?
I'm just thankful because life is not easy, but we go through to get to. And all that you've gone through, all that you went to, is to get to where you are today. And look at you today. God has blessed you spiritually, mentally, and a great, great mother, and someone that I'm godly proud of. I really am. And I know your children are proud of you, and because of, moms like you can be a blessing. Your book and all can be a blessing to other single moms, because I know it cannot be easy, because like I said, it's hard enough, when you have a husband to help you. It's not easy raising children.
Yeah.
But it's it's a blessed thing to do, because children are great. What would we do without them? And I just wish we had more mothers like you with these children today, because they are not being raised, a lot of them, with the principles that you were brought up with, and that so many were brought up with. And so there's a lot of disrespect now, a lot of all that going on, and it's because they haven't been brought up right.
Yeah.
But train them up in the way they should go, and when they get old, they will not depart from it.
Yeah. We're going to talk about those things and so much more. Parenting. There's all these expressions of gentle parenting and conscience parenting. I don't know what all those things mean and how they're interpreted in the world, but I do know that parenting God's way is the right way. Good. Parenting God's way is the right way. And so we're going to talk about those things. We're going to give tips and tools. We're going to encourage parents to hang in there, and just things that I have learned, and we'll have other guests come in. But I'm so thankful that you were here, Mom, to spend this time with me and to talk and to share. The love is real, and I'm grateful for you. If you were going to say something?
No, that was it.
Okay. All right, then I think we're ready for the outro or the conclusion. Thank you for being here with me, Mother Ruby Robinson.
Thank you.
And thank you to my viewing and or listening audience for joining in today. Please subscribe, like, and share all those things. If you enjoyed this time, this conversation, please leave your comments. And also any topics that you'd like to have us discuss from a biblical principle perspective. Love and blessings.
Amen.